Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is the Don't Punt Hour with former Nebraska receiver.
Throwing over the middle, completes the pass. He's got speed to the end zone. Touchdown. 45 yards.
And return specialist.
This time he beats the kicker and one more.
DeMornay Pierson-El.
Not only does the sideline have confidence in Pierson-El, but Pierson-El has confidence in Pierson-El.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in. Don't Punt Hour. Here's starting the ones and twos. We got the host as always, DeMornay Pierson-El, streaming in. If you guys want to join in, 402-464-5685. We got Royals on the brick and mortar. So again, if you guys want to join in, you can use the text line or use the Ticket app if you want to continue to listen. Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo Channel 961, all great ways to join in. We've had some tornadoes today. I know the Pacers couldn't land in OKC today. Been a little bit chaotic. We've just got mostly rain in Lincoln, but DeMornay Pierson-El, how's it going?
A lot better knowing that I wasn't in fact impacted by the tornadoes.
Yeah, it's been chaotic. There was one apparently really close to Arrowhead Stadium today as well. So things got a bit chippy in the Midwest to the point. Yeah, Pacers couldn't land. They had to land. I think they had to land somewhere in Oklahoma, if I remember correctly. Either way, they had to go past it. And then, of course, Arrowhead scrapes by on, I don't know how bad the damage would have been. I didn't see, tornado, but I just saw reports that it came pretty dangerously close to wrecking a very expensive building down there in the Kansas City area. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and start with the NBA since we hinted at the Pacers, but we're not talking Pacers and Thunder. We're going to talk about the Knicks. They got rid of their head coach after he brought them out of absolute irrelevance. Tom Thibodeau fired from New York Knicks. Before, just to put this in the context, the Knicks before he got there had the 3-3 winning percentage, 33%. That's what they're doing. In his first 5 years, he got it up to 56% when and made the playoffs 4 times in the conference finals once. So he brings them out of irrelevancy, multiple playoff appearances, makes it to the Eastern Conference Finals, fired. Thoughts?
Why?
Mike Malone?
Like, I mean, you just beat Boston. I mean, with only, I mean, I think the one game that Tatum wasn't there, but I mean, you were spanking them there. You were in the conference finals for the first time since what, 20-some years?
Yeah, I can't. Last time they were in the conference finals, I really would have to scratch my head and think.
Early 2000s, like it had to be. Were you expecting him to win the finals this year? Like, it's hard to come by a good coach that can get you that far and consistently, improve you. And I feel like each and every year, they've definitely taken, more steps for that. This is a huge step backwards. Because I mean, they were a contender.
Yeah.
They were a team to be feared in the East. They're not just, a pushover. I definitely felt like this year, they got out of Boston's shadow. And it's like, you can reload next year with things and whatnot, because I mean, you were scratching the surface, you were right then and there, but for you to rip it out from the roots and go a different direction, that's crazy. Like, what is your thinking of that?
I hate it. I found the stats too. So you were right. I was 1 year old. This was the first time they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals in 25 years.
1.
Yeah. It's just terrible. And again, 4 out of 5 years, he makes the playoffs altogether. Also, the first time the Knicks had back-to-back consecutive 50-plus win seasons since 1990.
What are they doing? Like,
I don't know. This is where, like, okay, I'll ask you this. Like, I like Mike Malone as a head coach. I don't care. I'm not firing Tibbs. Like, even if that's the guy you bring in, does that make it any better?
No.
To me, you want to bring in a good coach for sure. And I think if you're going to go, like, I think that is the obvious replacement is you bring him in. But at the same time, it's like,
what is the reasoning?
The same reason they fired Mike Malone. And now Adelman, the interim head coach, is the head coach. I can't tell you why a lot of these head coaches get fired. And I've gone on enough rants. I'll keep it a little bit more relaxed today. Like, you've heard me go on the Lakers rant about, especially on, this isn't LeBron's fault, but on LeBron teams, you see it a lot. Like, coaches come and go. Frank Vogel gets championship. Injuries happen the year later. They don't look at the injuries. They don't look at anything else. They just fire Frank Vogel because, people aren't happy. Easy scapegoat. Get rid of Vogel. It seems to happen a lot. But this is where I'm confused with the Knicks, because I don't think anybody was blaming the players
or
coach.
No.
They lost to a good Pacers team that deserves to be in the finals right now.
For sure.
They beat the Celtics before Tatum got down, hurt. Like, this team,
he was in that game and they were still beat. Like I said, I think they played him maybe 2 games without him, maybe, and they won one and lost one and went home. So again, and it's funny because I didn't even see that news today. That's news to me. This is the first time I'm hearing that they fired him. But I watch a lot of the 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, and once you said that, all that like flashed, the first thing that came to my mind was when Melo said, like, the Knicks traded Amon Shumpter and J.R. Smith to Cleveland, and kind of just breaking down a team that they had. Like, that's been one of their, probably, this team has been more successful. They were more dominant than the teams with Amari Stoudemire and Melo and everything like that. And you're on the cusp. You're probably the livest team, the most exciting team in New York, and you're king of the jungle right now. Like, in New York, the Giants aren't doing anything like y'all have. The Jets aren't doing anything like y'all have. Buffalo's fine and dandy, but nobody really cares about Buffalo. Like, they're kind of the little brother that's doing well, but you're finally getting to a place to where you're being a Knick, a Knick means something, and yet you do that. That's self-sabotage.
And especially like when you think of New York and the culture they have, especially when it's led by a guy like Jalen Brunson, you think of grit, you think of toughness. I mean, that's what everyone's talked about the Knicks. Like, yeah, undersized, but you know what? They show up and they play hard. When you think of a head coach who exemplifies that personality, I think Tibbs is the first coach that pops up in everybody's mind. So it's insanity that that's the culture they bred and built into that building, and it's worked in a really excellent way to even me. Like expectations for the Knicks were on the rise. They still exceeded my expectations. Like Coach Tibbs, like this is phenomenal. And before he got there, like I said, he's been there for 5 years, and it's been nothing but wins outside of 1 year where they went negative. But before he got there, 21-45 was that record. And that's, years of winning 20 to low 30s, or the year before that, they only won 17 games. He immediately gets there, year one, 41-31. Now they're above 500, just like that. Year two, that's his worst year with the Knicks, 37-45. You can point to some injuries. They missed the playoffs. Fair enough. Okay, but then they bounce right back. 47-35, 50-32, 51-31. It's a consistent climb up. To me, that's like, I know it's different because he didn't start there, but like you got Greg Popovich, young coach, 5 years in, you see the progress. It's just getting better and better and better. Let's fire him. We're ready now.
You one, you're in the East. Two, the biggest competitor in the East might not be the same. Like that Tatum injury shook up, the basketball world and shook up, the Celtics world. He might not necessarily come back and be the same. I hope he does and whatnot. I mean, even with KD is a different type of scorer because he doesn't need to necessarily drive by people. He can shoot. Clay, two other people that have had Achilles injuries that honestly, like they haven't necessarily been the same form of what we've seen. Durant is a little bit different because he can still shoot. It doesn't matter. So, the dynamic of the East is different. Like honestly, it's up for grabs, and you are in a prime position to make sure that your team, is the predator, not the prey. And for what reason you get to the conclusion that you need to go separate ways with a well-defined coach. If I'm Denver, I'm calling Tibbs ASAP. But if I'm Tibbs, I don't even want to go back into the West. I want to stay on the East. I'm looking at I'm looking at what can I do with Charlotte? Like is Charlotte open? Like Atlanta. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty sure some of those organizations would love to have that type of style of coach to change their organization.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the Thunder side right now.
No.
Like, and it's not just the Thunder. Like, obviously that's the big worst one right there. But if like you get a matchup versus the Thunder in probably the next 5 years, you feel shaky about it at the very least. And that's just not even mentioning everybody else who you're using in your examples. You still got the Suns again. Are they great? No, but like what they have on paper and talent wise is still insane. And who knows? Devin Booker, a few tweaks to it. They move on from Kevin Durant. As much as we like to, kind of really go at some of these teams for some interesting moves on building up their roster, there's still a lot of these Western Conference teams that are a few pieces away from being just absolute powerhouses again. Like the Nuggets is the most obvious example. They fell short, but they were by far the only team that pushed OKC so far. Like Game 7, all the games were pretty close outside of a few. And it was back and forth. So you can feel that the Nuggets are still right there in the mix, a piece away. But the Thunder are going to keep getting pieces. So you're going to have to make sure it's an excellent fit. Yeah, if you're Tibbs, you don't want to go over there. Are you kidding me?
No.
It's completely wide open. And I am Celtics. I don't know what.
I'm looking at DC. I'm looking at Chicago. I'm looking at North Carolina. I'm looking at Charlotte, Atlanta. Philly. I wouldn't care if even if I get to Philly would be nice. That gritty type of yeah. I'm not going back over to the West because I already in 2 years I can have a playoff team. Like he's shown that in 2 years he can change around organization regardless of what is and what not and how he's going to get his players to play. And everything like that, you can have a decent team, and you don't need, anything crazy in the East, honestly.
He doesn't need a lot of time either. That's why I want to, should run through the schedule either. It's like 21 wins before he got there. Next year, 20 more wins. Here you go. We're above 500 and we're in the playoffs. Didn't take me years. Took me 1 year to do it. Because he's
months
forever. He's well respected by players. So, and again, that's the other layer of it. If you're the Knicks players, how pissed are you? And how much do you think that affects the outcome of wins and losses? Like when we get to next season, do you think that will have any effect? Because this is where I never know. Obviously, I've never played at that level. NBA, though, especially when that's a coach who seemed to be very well liked by his players. And
I mean, I think it definitely hurts. I mean, Cat being in Minnesota with him and kind of coming in and at least a guy that knows you, that's fought for you and everything like that, that kind of makes you a lot more comfortable in a new situation. We don't know what Cat will look like, next year. And to be honest, he really didn't end this year as well as he could have. He was a liability on defense.
Yeah. The argument. Cat got Tibbs fired twice. But like seriously,
that's a fair statement.
He's getting fired for losses. We both agree. I don't think he should have been fired for it. But
no,
like if they win the series, he's still coaching, and Cat fell short in those series.
So it's frustrating because it's like he literally gave them a different identity. He rejuvenated that whole fan base, the players and everything like that, from players of the old fans and everything like that. He brought a different type of swagger and energy back to New York. He made New York dominate. He made New York like people that when you came up there and when you were facing them, they were going to be a problem. That's not hard to duplicate and replicate. Like that's not you don't get that. So yes, you have superstars and everything like that, but you might have fractured something to its core to where if you don't necessarily get a good coach that can kind of get in there and for lack of it, a JJ Redick type situation to where he changed the Lakers early on. Like when Luka got there and everything like that, it took things to a different level. But he had them operating, well and fine, and so you have to get a coach that can make their woes and troubles necessarily not so much a weakness. And I think, like I said, following up Tibbs is not going to be easy of who's available out there. Now, the Denver coach might go to New York, that might, or the old Denver coach, he might take that job. That might be, something interesting or whatnot. But you don't have Joker saving you. Like, Cat ain't Joker. Brunson is different in his own beast, but we don't necessarily know exactly what he's going to be and everything like that. You know what I mean? So I'm lost at words for that one. It's like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, and we can just I don't understand because you can just like refer to other teams. Okay, OKC, they're start winning a bunch of ball games, they're getting better and better and better. They fail in the playoffs. They hold on to their head coach. Now they're in the finals and they look really good. And the players like the head coach, they kept the coach, they trusted the process. So I think Philly is a great fit for Tibbs. I thought New York was an even better fit, just because we have the proof that it was working wonderfully. So I like to go with what I know is working, but they don't want to do that. So yeah, we're in a situation where I wouldn't be surprised if he is somewhere over in the East. Got to your point. Like if you're a head coach, you don't want to go to the West right now.
No.
If you're Mike Malone, you're probably pumped that, you know what, at the very least, I get to go over to the Eastern Conference. And the New York Knicks, thank you very much, Coach Tibbs. This is a good team. They know how to play. My job's easy. He's not going to have to build that culture.
No.
Mike Malone's a pretty gritty guy too. Not to the same effect of Tibbs by any mean, but the way they play, certainly up and down a little bit more, obviously with what they had with Jokic. But yeah, it's going to be, I think they'll be good again next year. But just because, yeah, and this is where it sucks, because if they make the finals, I think everyone who made that decision upstairs is going to be high-fiving and hugging like they're geniuses. I don't know how much different it'd be, though, say next year if they're in the finals and Tibbs was the coach. I think the chances would still be higher with Tibbs because you have that continuity. Not to say they can't do it with Malone. I'm just not a fan of this one really at all. If he goes to the Wizards, that'd be fantastic. We got to go, but Good morning, Pierson-El. I got to ask you, totally random thought, but I was thinking about those Washington Wizards and those awesome Bullets jerseys. Which jersey in the NBA absolutely needs to come back or name? You can go all sports if you really want to.
Ooh.
The Bullets ones pissed me off because that was so stupid. I think that was.
I honestly, I like the old school Wizards, like the blue jerseys. Either that one or the gold and black one. Like those two are. I don't know why they necessarily went away from it. Well, I do know, but I like the Wizards better than the Bullets jersey.
Okay, fair enough. I just the Wizards. Now the Wizards, they've had a lot of really good iterations. It feels like today they're on like their worst ones. And that says a lot because the Wizards actually have always had some really good. I mean, it's simple colors. You got the red, white, and blue. You can do a lot with it. I always thought, not necessarily just the name, but also the jerseys had in that era. Absolutely.
That or Orlando, like the Shaq, the old school Magic. I like those. I wouldn't be the Charlotte Bobcats. You get a throwback of those. I think that would be pretty nice. Those are the top three that I can think.
Even look, is that I'm trying to think of playing 2K on the Charlotte Bobcats court. I'm blanking on what those jerseys looked like.
They were like orange, blue. The orange. It was like an orange. They were typically blue. I want to say. Reverse was white. Had the Bobcats with the like orange Bobcat on the logo. I remember Gerald Wallace playing down there. I want to say Rip Hamilton. It did as well.
Okay, those are actually pretty nice.
Yeah, those wouldn't be bad at all. You can go back to a throwback of the Hornets, New Orleans Hornets. That would be a nice throwback where the Chris Paul and David West uniforms. I wouldn't be shocked with those.
The Timberwolves classic as well, when they got the neckline or they got the pine trees. Iconic.
Yeah.
I don't know what tree that is on there. I could tell you, but I'm going to call it pine. Those are great. Obviously, the Raptors, the purple jerseys with the actual Raptor on there.
Yes.
The NBA is one of those leagues that, in my mind, is like Pistons cool jerseys. Yeah, Pistons were great too. There used to be so many great jerseys. Not where I thought I was going to go. I'll just ask you, do you like the Nike takeover of the NBA jerseys?
I mean, it's not bad. I feel like kind of Nike is like, okay, we know we're gonna get this, so they don't try really. It's just like whatever we do, like that's what y'all gonna get type situation. So I mean, it's not terrible, but could it be better? Yes, I think so.
I think so too. When you think about the amount of money Nike has, and you think about innovation and stuff, and I'll never forget the first year they came to the NBA and dudes were just ripping each other's jerseys off like it was paper. And you're just seeing these guys out here with like no shirt on, not by choice, but I mean the jerseys were cheap. They sucked, and you're gonna make the fans pay $300 for like an authentic jersey that can just easily tear like paper. Like, get out of here. I'm not a fan of the Nike. I think it's honestly somewhat of a failed experiment. Everyone's making money. That doesn't always mean it's better. All right, we'll throw it the break there. We'll talk some college football on the other side. In particular, the two playoff formats. And Joel Klatt, very surprised that the Big 12 is so interested in the one. We'll talk about that next. Don't go anywhere. Dumb Punt Hour with the morning Pierson-El.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
You grew up on cereal for breakfast and you graduated into drinking coffee at some point as an adult. now there's a place in Lincoln where you can stay caffeinated but eat like you used to. Control Coffee and Cereal Bar brings Saturday morning vibes to every day with locally roasted specialty coffees, Lotus energy drinks, and tons of breakfast cereals with toppings. And did we mention they have video games to play while you're there too? Control Coffee and Cereal Bar open 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the weekends at 15th and Pine Lake.
Midwest Bank is now hiring in Lincoln. They have multiple banking positions open and are looking for dynamic individuals passionate about helping others and building relationships. With a family-friendly culture, competitive benefits, and unique perks, Midwest Bank is a great place to start a new career. Apply today at midwest.bank. Midwest Bank is an equal opportunity employer, member FDIC.
Why are some people more successful? Is it talent and determination, or did they recognize an opportunity? Discover a career that lets you help families reach their financial goals as you build lasting professional relationships, one with unlimited income potential. From Modern Woodman, a leading fraternal financial services provider.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 91. Bats to Rats.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, DeMornay Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back in. Don't Punt Hour, segment number 2. And looks like the sun's coming out and we're officially out of the rain, at least here in Lincoln. You guys can always join in, Sutter Haven text line or any of these streams. It's a great way to put a face to the voice. We're going to talk some college football here. In particular, I'll ask you right out of the gate, if you were going to be a college football playoff commissioner, designer, however you want to do it, if you're the commissioner and you have the executive authority to make this decision, like the options of the 5+11 college football playoff format, which we'll get into a little bit. Big 12 seems to like that one more. which would give 5 automatic bids to the 5 power conferences and not 5 there's 4, power 4, 1 per power conference and 1 to the group of 5. So that's how you get the 5, and then 11 at-large bids. And again, that's voted on. I believe it's the college football playoff rankings, not the AP poll rankings, to get those 11 at bids. Or you can go with what they've kind of talked about before, which would be you bring in 4 guaranteed Big Ten teams, 4 guaranteed SEC teams, 2 Big 12, 2 ACC, and then at large bid for one of those group of 5 schools.
I mean, both models have 16 teams making it to the playoffs.
Yeah, both got.
Throw them both out. And this, it's a playoffs for a reason. Everybody doesn't deserve the right to participate and get in this. It's an elite group. So right off the bat, I'm not doing 16. I'm not doing 14. It's 12 teams right out the gate. I don't want to hear no crying and everything like that. Make your schedule better.
I agree.
I don't like either or, because I mean I think I don't like people were mad at the first round games, this first go round, when teams got blown out. Oh, it should have been better teams here, this and that and whatnot and everything like that. And when Boise got to play, they didn't even get blown out. They actually held their own weight. Notre Dame made it to the national championship. So I don't like either model at all. But if I had to choose from what you said, I would go away from the 4 from the SEC, 4 from the Big Ten, because I don't like the fact just because you are a premier conference, you automatically get, regardless of what their record is or what you automatically get 4 spots. No, I don't like that. So I will make it even. You got the power 4. The top 4 teams in the country will get automatically in, and then so on and so forth for the other 11 after that, or 12 after that.
That's where I'm at. If I had to pick,
I would pick that model.
Yeah, give me the 5, each major conference, 4 major conferences, 1 group of 5, and then 11 bids. Not perfect, but, you get your conferences represented that way, guaranteed. If you're the Big Ten, give me the 4. If you're the SEC, give me the 4 guaranteed bids. But also, I think if you are the smaller universities, if you're the ACC, this is what I was saying with the Big 12 and ACC. How do you think they're going to rate those conferences when they do rank them for those 11 bids? We'll go from, 1 SEC team got in there. Sure. Let's put in 1, 2, 3, 4. Their schedule's tough. What?
Your non-conference games, out of probably the 3 cakewalks, or at least 2 of the cakewalks, you have to put, some of those better teams. So you might have to play a Pac-12 team. You might have to play, a middle of the pack Big Ten team. Strength of schedule, because I mean that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, a few years ago we seen an undefeated team get snubbed when you know what I mean. And the only thing that you could say was, well, that their schedule wasn't as hard as these SEC teams. So even if you got to play a Kentucky, even if you got to play a South Carolina, if you got to play a Wisconsin, a Nebraska, play some of those where it's okay. That's a solid win. I think those ACC teams will have to do that, and I think Clemson does a fairly good job, because they play South Carolina every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean there's that. But some of those ACC teams or those Big 12 teams, you're gonna have to come up off that, or change the whole. I mean, if I'm the ACC and if I'm the Big Ten and everything like that, well, the SEC plays 1 less game than us. All right, so we changing our schedule to not to do that much. And if people are complaining and everything like that, why y'all letting one group get away with it and not the other? That would be the first thing I would do with the ACC, to make things more even and everything like that. At least give me a fair shot. That way, it goes from now those 3 cupcake games. Now you might have to have one tough mid kind of game, one a mid type game, and then you still have easy layup game.
That's the only way to do it. If you're small universities, like, you're gonna have to beef up those schedules. Certainly,
Yeah.
if you go with the 5+11, the 5 bids, 11 or 5 guarantees, conference representation, and of course 11 bids on the voting. But you better beef up your schedule if that's the way you're going to go. So if that's the way they're thinking and they're confident that they can take on some of those bigger schools, then yeah, the 5, guarantees and 11 bids makes sense, because then there's more spots for you to slide in there and get in. My only fear, especially for some of those coaches and commissioners wanting to go that way, is I've seen how the bias bleeds through. Even if you do beef up your schedule, they will wait for you to drop the shoe one time to say irrelevant. It takes one bad loss to erase a good win, especially if that wins earlier in the year. I hate the model where it's 4 guaranteed bids for the Big Ten, SEC, but ironically enough, I think that's actually better for those smaller universities, because I do think that bias is just going to flush them out, and it's going to be a lot of frustration. We'll see some years, not to the degree of the Seminoles where they go undefeated and then get left out, but we'll see some years of really good teams that you think Big 12, SEC, they'll just be right on the outside, I think, because they're just not going to get that conference respect. So that's a tough one. I'm just not a fan. We've talked about this all, like, for how much, Big Ten's guilty of this too, but I'll use the SEC as an example. For how much the SEC talks about how much they love football, they love nothing more than ruining college football. It's getting to a point where, and I was telling one of my interns this, like, have you listened to these debates on how they're trying to decide the college football playoff format? It sounds like propaganda almost. Like, they're not arguing with numbers. They're using a Georgia who had a brutal schedule and acting like every SEC team had that.
It's Georgia. Yeah. Like,
yes.
No, y'all are not as good. Like, yeah, can you compete with them for a half, or, if you are Florida or whatnot, every now and then, do you play them competitively? Like, yes, but that doesn't, a tough Georgia loss doesn't make you shine a whole lot better than, 2 other conferences, or, the top 3 teams in the Big Ten, or the top 2 teams, in the SEC. Because at one point in time, Clemson could go toe to toe with anybody. They went toe to toe with Texas with 3 losses and still won the ACC. So what is the, like, how do you discredit them when
Go ahead. This always frustrates me.
when if you put Clemson in the SEC, I think Clemson will still be dominant. I think they would still be probably a top 5 team in the SEC easily.
I think so. I mean, they got the makeup and the money and the program and the buildings for it. They love football down there. I wouldn't be surprised that even bolstered their ability to recruit and everything else, knowing that you go in the SEC, you're going to get those matchups. But, like, it's just a terrible argument to, like, say, well, look at this schedule and look at how tough it is compared. Do I grab? We've gone through Wisconsin's schedule this upcoming year. I'm not going to grab the Wisconsin schedule, give it to every other conference, and be like, this is what every Big Ten team has to go through. Because that's not true. Wisconsin just has a horrible schedule. And that's what it feels like you hear at these. It's like they're just using the most extreme cases to make their argument. And it's like, can you guys just sit down and figure out a numerical value, or some way you can actually sit down where you're not just trying to make an argument with your best points, where the fans understand, the coaches understand, the players understand. We actually have a way to break this down to figure out who the best teams are. And yes, there's some gray areas from here to here, but that's a lot better than just using extreme cases to make your point why you deserve 4 or 5. How many?
The funny thing is, let's take I think SC beat LSU. The Trojans beat LSU early in the season, right?
I think so. I'll double check on that right now.
SC was, I would say, upper middle pack team in the Big Ten, and still beat a middle tier or a better team in the SEC. Because I mean, I think late in the season, I think LSU was a game or 2 out. They were one of the 4 or 5 teams that was tied with the same record. So it's like, I mean, you still got beat by a Big Ten team still early in the season, regardless of so you got beat by a Big Ten team, and all y'all still have one less game to play. So if you're going off of numbers and everything like that, I mean, the numbers are skewed by one game at least that. I mean, it'd be different if y'all added the game and okay, that's fine to make things added up. But I mean, head to head, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Big Ten beat the SEC again this year in bowl matchups.
Yeah, they did by a lot.
So I mean, and a lot of those other kids weren't, skipping out and not playing in that's head to head twice. I think last year, I think the Georgia game was the only team that I think really sat out a lot of players, and they still got spanked. So I mean, okay, that might have been a little bit different or whatnot. It is what it is. But other than that, this is 2 years in a row. SEC Big Ten has gone head to head, and like it isn't as big of a gap, as it is now. You have your outliers. Okay, you have your Georgias of your conferences. Okay, well, y'all got Georgia and maybe Alabama, or y'all got Georgia and whoever second place is. Okay, well, the Big Ten had Michigan and Ohio State, and even if you take Michigan out of it, all right, we got Penn State and Ohio State. So I mean, each conference, has their top dog and heavy hitters and whatnot. I mean, of course, anybody can lose any given Saturday, but I mean, if you overall comparing conference to conference and whatnot, it's like the rest of your conference isn't as strong as you necessarily think you are, and you just hiding behind the shield, which is SEC, and just kind of, letting the big dogs handle your work. When Florida, you're not necessarily, you're not like that. Kentucky, I'm looking at you. You might not necessarily be like that. Oklahoma, you for sure aren't like that. Texas, different story. But that's still debatable. I mean, because we'll see if you can follow up what you did last year, this year.
They will with Manning. I'm afraid. I think they will.
Who knows?
Who knows? I've had to take a swing at it. I'd love to not to, but I feel good about Texas. But it could fall apart. But to your point, it's also the Big Ten's getting a lot stronger.
Yeah,
we the big dogs, but we talk about Illinois. They're cooking. Illinois, Indiana,
10-3.
Yep, Nebraska. I know everybody hates Nebraska, but there's going to be a year, I do think, where Nebraska finally starts to catch some serious ground. And even like right now, even if you don't think they're the most intimidating team, still a chance to push Ohio State around and beat the team that won the college football championship. So it's not a walk in the park for any of these Big Ten matches.
No.
And we've seen that with Purdue. Purdue, not very good. Guess what? We didn't really beat them until the fourth quarter. And that's the same Nebraska team that almost beats the national champion in Ohio State. So some of these games, these scores get away. But I mean, really, the Big Ten just gets better and better. And if you want to look at the coaches as well, Big Ten's loaded with some of the best coaches right now. And the SEC's got them too, but definitely entering a super strong era in the Big Ten. And that's why you feel weird about it if you are the Big Ten, because you want to benefit yourself. But at the same time, like, college football just feels like it's eroding with a lot of the stuff that we keep doing. And these two major conferences clearly have all the power. It does feel like the smaller schools are just like, we just have to go with it at this point. This is insanity. But that being said, we'll just go over the break here since we had a late start anyways. I want to ask you, if you were, in control of college football, give me one change that you would make. Might piss everybody off, but you're going to make this change. I'll give you mine first since I had time to think about it. Limit conference sizes again. Even bring back the Big 8. Like a 10 to 12 team conference limit. And you kind of go back to regional football.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, I think super conferences are ruining football. That's why I say that.
The one thing that I would change, I mean, like I said, I think if we're all operating under the same umbrella, we got different deadlines with NIL, transfer portal, and everything like that. Like, that
was a good one.
If I'm the commissioner, okay, then I'm taking a game away from everybody. Like the SEC, like that's fine and dandy. Let's see how everybody else feels. Let's see how their athletes act and everything like that. With one less game, everybody's gonna be mad. Don't care. Doing it.
I think
you want to say you're the best and everything like that, but the teams in the SEC, like, yes, do you have freakish athletes? Yes, do you have generational type athlete that has come through the conference and everything like that? But y'all always play a game less, so y'all are probably a lot fresher than a lot of these other teams.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, you are typically, either one. If you're not one, you two. You still get a break. You still get more rest to even, fresh to get more rest and everything like that. So I'm applying that to all conferences.
I like that one. I'll use kind of, you mentioned transfer portal. I'll bring back you can bring in the extreme cases. We'll make a department for that. You get 2 transfers. Anything more than that's kind of insane.
Yeah.
Like once you get to 3, especially if you're at 4, something's telling me that you're the problem. It gets hard to believe that all these coaches and these universities treat you so poorly. It's like, well, are you looking into the university, or are you just showing up there because they have the most money, and then you're upset because it didn't work out? But there's another rule with money, so you're gonna go.
I would implement 2-year contracts for all athletes. So you go to a university, you can't leave. Like, I mean, well, your first transfer, you can leave, when you want to and everything like that. But say you get to, your new university and everything like that, you're stuck there for 2 years. A lot can happen in a year. A lot can happen in 2 years. You can be immature and mature. You can be, messed up mentally and everything like that. Work yourself through some stuff and everything like that. So when you sign your contract and everything like that, you are signing to go for 2 years. 2 years at a time. You sign a 2-year contract. If you want to leave, and within that first 2 years, you are obligated to. You get one, transfer. After that's you're stuck until another 2-year period, unless your coach gets fired, unless family situation. But there are very, very pinpointed situations that will have you granted for you to leave immediately. Other than that, no, you stuck 2 years. You got to figure it out. In life, you can't be running, just when things get hard or you get pissed off and irritated with stuff.
Yeah, they give the NCAA some more purpose again. Give them some things to do. Keep up on that stuff. Make sure the players are following books. That one's great. Before it seems like you really don't want to do that, but now it's like, well, money's getting paid here. All right, this is $1 billion business. Money is flying out the doors of these stadiums and to these players. Fine, they deserve it. You can't be a kid when you're taking millions of dollars. I'm sorry.
Exactly, and it's you're asking, especially at that young of age, you're asking kids to be a lot more mature. Not everybody matures at different ages, at different speeds, and everything like that from their environment or something like that. So you can't expect everybody to come in there, all on equal, playing fields. That's why you set up structure for things. So I think especially earlier in those first 2 years, the more structural you are, the more stronger foundation, and make things, a little bit more concrete with people staying there and everything like that is allowed. Now, like I said, I'm not saying that you can't transfer out. You can, but wherever you're gonna go, you're gonna be there for 2 years. Like you have to work through something out.
Yeah. And I think that one's, and if you got some players that really want to do it, break the contract. But there's a penalty. Whatever money you were
you paying that money back. You losing 75% of whatever it is. There's ways to go, about that, to where it's like, okay, well, this so many. Let's just say, you had 700 days between the 2 years, or 800 days or whatever between the 2 years and everything like that. How much of that percentage have you covered? Oh, you only covered 35% of it. All right, well, you're only getting 35% of that money. See ya. And then the other thing is that I would make a big change. All this guaranteed money and everything like that, it would go into a trust. Like you can only get 25-30% of it from year to year. So whatever that year breakdown is, if you give them that money over a 4-year span, okay, you can only get about this much, and have, different bonuses and incentives to get certain things. But a lot of that money will be on the back end once you graduate, or if you leave the school early for, pursuing professional careers or whatnot. That would be the 2 ways. Okay, well, for you to get more money, you got to get your degree. So, I mean, it's all about school, and not forgetting, that part about it. And it's like, I understand money's in it and everything like that. Well, I'm gonna make the athletes, earn their keep.
Yeah, I think that's a totally fair way to go about it. And I don't know why that's ever controversial. Like, who has ever said, what's really good for 18, 19, 20-year-olds to understand the economy? Give them millions of dollars up front or six figures up front when they've never had anywhere near that. Like, it's going to go bad. We all know it's going to go bad. It'll go bad for you or me. It doesn't matter who you are. There's going to be the exceptional kids who, you know what, if they graduate early, they're done with football. There can be a rule in there where, yeah, as long as you get a degree and you're done with football, take it. Like,
it's yours. You've earned it. Your I don't want to say your debt, but your obligation and what you said you would do has been, fulfilled. So to each his own, you got it.
Exactly. I think that's all that needs to be done. And it's really, to me, I think it's a simple solution. And if you don't want to go to the trust fund, there's ways to at least stagnate, put that money out in segments so it doesn't just hit them in a truckload to where I just think bad decisions are always going to be made when you hit instant cash. The lottery is the easiest example. Pretty crazy how many people that win the lottery go bankrupt. Like, people aren't good with it. It's just natural. We're humans. We don't get the economic jargon. They're very good at, when you have a bunch of money, about selling you on big money items with a bunch of jargon saying, you got the money, you got the funds, let's go ahead and do this. You know how many car dealerships foam at the mouths when they see these NIL college students coming in to go buy a new car, foaming at the mouth because they know that student athlete has a wallet that's burning a hole in their pocket. Those are real things that every human suffers with. So I don't know why that'd ever be controversial, just to help those guys out. I got one more. You got any left honorable mentions for changing anything in college football?
Not off the top of my head. I would have to really think, but that's about it for right now.
Okay. What do you think about this one? The last one I didn't change if I was in there right now. And this would certainly piss a lot of people off, but I would do it maybe not smiling, but I wouldn't hesitate too much. Michigan, I want that trophy back. I'm not happy with the whole Connor Stallion situation still. Too much to take away a championship trophy for that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I just
it's setting a tone. I mean, cheating is wrong. I mean, everybody was right is right and was wrong is wrong. And it's like, you did whatever you did, and you can't be rewarded for a trophy for cheating. So I wouldn't be mad at that one at all. It would suck because the Big Ten, which coming from that conference, 2 years in a row, but if it sets a better example for everybody else and upholding punishments and the things along the lines of that, I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you have to have deterrence from cheaters, and clearly the Michigan to me was an example of right now the deterrence, not scared of them, and we saw it again this year. Sean Moore, I'll coach the first 2 games. I'll take week 3 and 4 off by choice. So that's where we're at in college football. That's going to wrap it up for us. I am off tomorrow. You'll be joined by Jackson, the morning Pierson-El, but don't go anywhere. Ticket weeknights. We'll keep it rolling. I'll be back next week. But up next, what's brewing with Chance Brewington?